Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's the Kinner and Kev Show live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash, Mr. Kev Nash. Welcome.
What up, though?
What is today?
Today is Thursday.
What time is it?
It is 3:02 p.m.
I feel like it's 8 a.m. because that's what time the day starts, and that's what time. Well, hold on. My day starts a little bit earlier than 8. Because Kinner's on the gym kick right now.
What time you go to the gym?
Honestly, I'm getting up about 5:30.
Okay.
Getting there at 6, being done about 7. The wife goes with me sometimes. Sometimes she gets a workout in the night before with her friends, and then we both leave for work at the same time, and then we just get a bunch of stuff done, which is good. But like I said, I feel like I just left the house.
Yeah. It's been a very active day. I see you got a new look going on. You're hat on backwards guy.
I'm trying something new. Actually, I like this hat, but I don't like how it looks facing forward. I mean, I don't wear my hat backwards, but this hat, I don't like. Look at it. It just looks, howdy. Hi, guys. No, it's not my cup of tea. So there you go. You're getting hat on backwards, guy. Colin Cowherd would be so disappointed. But again, I hope everyone's had a great day. Lots to get into here this afternoon. How about Gene Smith, the announcement of his retirement, or at least announcing his upcoming retirement? That came out yesterday. So we'll get to that coming up around the corner. But I found that to be very fascinating. And I think with all the changes in athletics right now, we keep talking about how as fans, this is not the college football. This is not, and again, athletic director of the whole athletic landscape, not just football, but let's be honest. Football is king, and as the athletic director, you have every sport imaginable out there, male and female sports.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not giving 90% of your attention towards football, then that's a problem. So the bottom line is, I don't think it's a coincidence that with all the changes that we are experiencing with the sports landscape of college ourselves, I can't imagine what those who work within those confines are dealing with. I don't think it's a coincidence that Gene Smith announced his retirement yesterday, Kev.
I do. I mean, like, he's been on the job since 2005, I believe, for the Buckeyes. I mean, he's seen, coaches come and go. He's seen great coaches come and go, from Jim Tressel to Urban Meyer. Now we have Coach Day in there. I mean, I believe Gene Smith is close to 70 years old. So
he looks good for 70. I know.
Absolutely.
You guess his age. I mean, he's not young, but he doesn't look old.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, I'm just a person that believes, like, all right, man, like, there comes a time in your life that you want to just do nothing and be with your family. And
I'm 33 and I feel that way. What are you talking about, Kev?
So we talked about like Coach K and Roy Williams and Jim Boeheim. All these dudes are in their 70s, man. Like, we can't expect these dudes to coach and have their whole profession their entire lives. I mean, you do want to retire and kick back and enjoy, everything you've accomplished in your life.
So we'll get to that. It's more of that coming up in a moment, because everyone has these ideas and theories of who is going to be the next AD for the Ohio State University. So we'll get to that coming up. Michael Lorenzen, former Cincinnati Red, throws a no-hitter last night, and that adds fuel to the fire because the Reds have won one game since the trade deadline, Kev. They're 1-6 or 1-7, I believe. But hey, Kenner's just stirring the pot when he said, hey, morale was killed when the front office did not give him help. I hate that being right means I have to watch my team lose just to get a ha-ha at all of you who doubted me. But that's where we're at. But you know what? We're going to open up the show today with a little say what. So that's what we're going to start the show off with a little say what.
He's been great in the meetings, and he
maybe
does his
not
work with the trainer.
So
maybe
what?
Not. We won't get to say what. We'll get to say what coming up here in just a little bit. But let's open up with this then. Well, I get that figured out. We'll figure out that coming up here in a second. But let's talk. You just heard a little bit of a soundbite from Zach Taylor. Mike Tannenbaum had interesting comments today on various ESPN shows. We're going to open up with the little Joe Burrow talk since I got to get this say what trigger figured out. Mike Tannenbaum and a lot of national media really reacting pretty heavily, Kev, to Zach Taylor's update on Joe Burrow at yesterday's presser. Now, I have the audio from Zach Taylor. I want you guys to listen to the audio from Zach Taylor. I'm not hearing what national media is hearing. but everyone's panicking because this is panic season. You guys are fools. You guys thought it was preseason. It's actually panic season. Zach Taylor asked about giving, was basically asked to give an update on the status of Joe Burrow, which is a question he is going to get a ton of from now until, when we see Joe Burrow again out on that field. Here's Zach Taylor during yesterday's presser.
He's been great in the meetings, and he does his work with the trainers and with Joey Bose. So we'll just continue to progress that.
Timeline still the same as it has been, or is there an update on what you expect from him?
Well, I mean, the timeline is several weeks from when I said several weeks. So we'll just we'll let that play out.
Now, let me ask you, what did you hear when he said, what did you hear there?
What I heard, I was like, wait, when did they make a trade for Joey Bosa?
That's
the first thing I thought. I was like, wait, what?
Bose.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Like, when did that happen? That's not good for me. I'm a Steelers fan. Get him out of here. The big thing, I just think coaches annoyed of asking the same questions. Like, I told you, it's the same thing as it was about, 24 hours ago when you asked me. It's the same exact thing. So, I think coaches just annoyed.
But, that answer has been the same a few weeks.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago when this happened. By the way, I didn't realize it was like double-digit days since Joe Burrow had appeared at practice. I'm like, man, this has been a long preseason so far. I mean, we haven't even got tonight is the first preseason games that you'll get. Not that Hall of Fame where 6.3 million people tuned in to watch my Cleveland Browns come from behind to beat the Jets, baby. Yeah. But no, joking. The bottom line is at the end of the day, we haven't even got to the preseason. That seems like ages ago when Joe Burrow got the calf injury and everything else. But that day or the next day, whenever they had an update, Zach Taylor had told everyone it'll be, still a few weeks out. Well, that's what he's referring to is he goes, well, it's still a few weeks from when I told you. But national media they're hitting the panic meter. Now, I love hitting the panic meter, getting Bengals fans all panicked up, but I'm here to tell you, I don't understand why everyone's so uneasy about this, or maybe we should be. I don't know. But Mike Tannenbaum, as well as many national hosts, reacting to Zach Taylor's comments.
Look, it's not ideal by, any stretch, but you got to figure out they start with two divisional games, and not all games are the same in terms of standings and tiebreakers for the playoffs. So if I'm Cincinnati, every day that he's not out there, I got to assume that we're looking at some missed time, and calf injuries are really hard to predict when someone's going to come back. So I think based on what Zach Taylor said yesterday, I think the reality of him missing a couple of regular season games is firmly on the table. And again, maybe we start off with a lot more Joe Mixon, Travion Williams, and build my offense around there.
You got that from that? I would love Joe Burrow, and I mean this respectfully because I don't want injury on anybody's, but you guys remember, I tell you when we do this show, my goal is to be the difference between me and our listeners is the mic in front of my face. Outside of that, when I'm out with my friends, when me and you aren't on the show, we're fans. So I'm not being as a Browns fan, would I tear up if Joe Burrow missed some time to start the season? I would not. Okay. But buttoned up, Hat Ford, radio host, is supposed to be like, oh man, I'm losing sleep at night. I'm praying that Joe Burrow gets healthy. Stop. I'm not I don't wish any harm on anyone. The fan in me is like, I would love for Joe Burrow to miss some time, especially if the Ravens in week 2 can get a win on the Bengals and the Browns get a win on the Bengals in week 1. I would love to watch them be looking up at the division, already trailing 2 games after 2 weeks if Joe Burrow's out for a while. I say that to say, that's not what I'm hearing. I would love to hear that. I would love to stir that pot. I would love to tell all of you, Joe Burrow's going to miss some time. But that's not what I heard. All he said is after the injury, Zach Taylor said, diagnosis is about 2 weeks out a couple weeks out before we know anything, or a few weeks out before we know anything. And he responded with, still a few weeks out before we know anything from the time I told you that the first time. I have no clue where national media, and it's every show, First Take, all the shows throughout the day. It's been interesting that just the panic. So to go from a few weeks out before we get an update to, he's going to miss 5 weeks. Is where there's smoke, there's fire. Are there things being said behind the scenes that you think are leading to some of these panic conversations? I mean, we haven't even got to the first preseason game yet. That's still technically tomorrow or Saturday for the Bengals. Bottom line is they haven't even got to their first preseason game yet, and everyone's freaking out about a month from now. It's August 10th right now?
Yeah.
September 10th is when the season kicks off. That's 4 weeks away. I'm not there yet to start mentally planning for Browns Bengals without Joe Burrow. Let's just be real.
Nor am I. I mean, I think this is Coach getting his Bill Belichick on. You could tell from his tone, he's sick of answering these questions.
Yep.
And I got something to tell you, Coach. You're gonna have to answer it until Joe Burrow comes out of that tunnel. People are just going to keep peppering you with those questions left and right. So it's not going to stop today. It's not going to stop tomorrow. It's not going to stop until Joe Burrow is taking snaps in practice. So get ready for it. I think the biggest difference between college football and NFL, like, you kind of have to answer these type of questions. In college, the coaches hide behind HIPAA laws and things like that. And just, I don't have to tell you anything about injuries on my team. But in the NFL, there is a injury report that has to go out there. And until he has to put it out there, he should keep it close to the vest. There's no need, like, if there is a serious problem, there's no need to tell everybody and their mom there's a serious problem with his calf until you have to. I hope it's not. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but like, I like watching Joe Burrow play. I like watching the Cincinnati Bengals play, high flying offense. I want to see teams at their best and to be entertained. So, for me, I just look at it as coach, buckle up, because you're going to be asked that question. I don't know, maybe the next 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah. And
next time somebody sees him, they're going to ask him about Joe Burrow.
And to be fair, he was smiling when he gave the answer. It's not like he's coming across like annoyed with it or anything like that. I'll give the Bengals this. They seem to be, for whatever switch that was flipped for them, they're very tightened up.
Tight.
There has been no leaks about Joe Burrow's contract. None. Absolutely none. When I heard that months ago that they were going to be tight, I'm like, oh, okay, it's the Bengals. Stuff's going to get out. To Zach Taylor's credit, to the organization's credit, nothing's out. I mean, Burrow's team is tight-lipped. The organization is tight-lipped. They're being tight-lipped about this. And I bring this up because that's good organizations. They're sealed. Nothing's getting out. And to the credit of the Bengals, nothing's getting out, Kev. They seem very buttoned up on all fronts. They seem to be clicking on all cylinders. So I'll give them that. Bottom line is there's nothing that we have heard or come across that should have Bengals fans panicking. However, I don't speak on behalf of Bengals fans. That's you, the listeners. So, Bengals fans, are you concerned? Are you worried? Is there anything that has you uncomfortable about this calf injury? 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. It's rare to have a cordial conversation with you, Bengals fans, but I want to have it. This has nothing to do with the Browns. This has nothing to do with my dislike for some of y'all fans, not all of y'all. This has none of my dislike for the Bengals as a Browns fan. This is simply, if the roles were reversed and Deshaun Watson had a calf injury, and stop with the jokes. I already know where you guys are going with that. Blah, blah, blah. Ha, ha, ha. But bottom line is at the end of the day, is this how serious is this injury? Or is this, sometimes this could be worse than others because it is a lingering thing. Maybe because of the fact that it could be a lingering issue, this could be something that, happens here in September, or in August, but it could be something that pops up again in October and November and everything else. But let's see. Kozar on YouTube says, I look like an extra in The Sandlot. All right, jerks. There it is. Hats going forward.
A movie you've seen.
I have seen that movie.
Classic.
Might have been the last movie I ever watched.
Classic movie. I love that movie.
Ryan Holzapple. What up, Ryan? Joe Burrow will play week 1. He hasn't had a normal training camp since he's been in the league. I don't believe it's anything serious at all. I'm tired of hearing about he never had a serious training camp. No, here we go with the excuses and stuff. That has nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with it. But I don't believe it's anything serious at all. At this point, I don't either. Do you? Do you believe this?
Yeah, I think it's serious. I mean,
Kevin was trying to panic.
From everything we heard from Joe Burrow, he was coming into training camp because of the fact that he's never had a full training camp. So he wanted to hit the ground running. He wanted to be out there with his teammates and receivers and get that rapport going early, all that type of stuff. So, and also kind of like put that good faith towards the organization about getting the contract worked out. Like he was doing, quote unquote, all the right things and everything like that. So him not being out there, that's serious because he's not going to start the season out fast. I mean, look at the last 2 seasons. They haven't been able to start the season off fast for whatever reason, for, coming off the knee injury, coming off the, the appendix removal and all that type of stuff. That was his whole reasoning for being there. Like, hey, man, I missed the last 2. I got to be out there this time. And he's not. So that's a setback.
Yeah, it is. And he has not got this reputation of being injury prone, because I think the reputation of his toughness of overcoming being sacked, probably 2,000 times in 3 years. So he has the perception of like this tough guy, but at some point the injuries keep piling up at some point. And this is the thing that happened to Andrew Luck. If you remember, Kev, and I'm not going here technically, but sometimes this non-contact injury, like Joe Burrow's body is beat the hell up. Like, he's beat up constantly. And this is what happened to Andrew Luck that led in completely different circumstances, because football is the life of Joe Burrow. It wasn't the life of Andrew Luck. That's why it was easy for him to walk away. But, Andrew Luck was a guy that was sacked a ton, Kev. He was hit a ton throughout his career. There was no particular hit that knocked him out, but it was the overall, just the body being worn down because of how much he was hit so early in his career. That should be the concern about Joe Burrow. That would be my concern about Joe Burrow.
The wear and tear.
The wear and tear. That's a non-contact. He literally was rolling out to his right in walkthroughs and he's on the ground and having to be helped to the back. Like, I'm not making light of that. I'm just saying, like, that's what, like, those weird type of injuries that you can't sit there and point, when he got hit, this happened. At times, you get hit like that constantly. Your body is he's in his mid-20s. He has the body of a mid-30-year-old. Mid-30s. There's nothing wrong with mid-30s. But nonetheless, so, it'll be interesting to see. Ryan Holzapple says he's got pretty good rapport with Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, so I'm not real worried about their chemistry. Thank you. That's my whole point, which is why the excuses of him missing training camp over the last couple of years, they seem to be just fine. Now, maybe that is the excuse for their slow start.
I think you want to hit the ground running. Like, I talk about this all the time about there's no mystery why Kansas City always starts the season out super hot. They play their starters in preseason a ton more than any other team out there. So when everybody's like, oh, man, they're still working on their timing and everything like that. Oh, touchdown, Kansas City Chiefs, left and right, because they practice. They go full speed. They go full speed in practice. They go full speed in those preseason games. Everybody's looking at them like, why are they playing their guys in the first half, the whole first half? Hey, offensive line, running backs, wide receivers, quarterback, they're all out there going full go. And week one, they're looking mid-season form while everybody else is still, trying to get their win right, trying to get their feet out the sand and everything like that. I'm a proponent of, hey, man, go out there, get your real reps in preseason as well, man. Go full speed, because when the real season starts, the team that does it the best and jumps out to a fast start, each and every game counts. How many times have we been down to the back half of the season and teams have been able to rest their starters? Well, they were able to rack up those wins earlier in the season, while other teams are like, all right, if we win this game and then if they lose and if they tie, we can make the playoffs. Do you want to be like that, or you want to be resting your guys? I'd rather be resting my guys.
That's a good point. It's something I didn't think about. I know that Jamar Chase's take was, well, we need you for the games that matter later in the year.
It's a very NBA mindset.
There's the high leverage games late in the season with stuff on the line. But when you look back at the fact that, okay, this is a big deal because of Joe. Like I said, you play the Browns and Ravens weeks 1 and 2. Okay. Any opponent is a respectable opponent, but like you go 0-2 to start like last year. Like last year, the loss to the Steelers, that hurt obviously, but the loss to the Cowboys, that hurt. But it was one of those where you're still only down 1 in the division technically.
Right.
But you lose to the Ravens and the Browns in week 1 week 1 and 2 without Joe Burrow. Now that's a problem. And the same thing last year, that appendectomy or whatever. Oh, it's not a big deal. Well, if he gets that full training camp and they beat the Steelers week 1, they're not losing to Cooper Rush. Then they're a 15-16 win team last year. And then they're not crying and boo-hooing because of a coin flip and all that stuff. So yes, you know what? I think you're right. This could technically be a big deal if it does lead to him missing time as far as that's concerned, because the AFC is too damn tight as far as that's concerned. All right. Louis Riddick had a lot to say regarding the Washington Washington Nationals.
Do we have to talk about the Guardians
football team? Washington, what the hell are they? The Commanders.
Commandos.
Sorry. The Washington Commanders they're complaining because they're being coached. They don't like to be coached. Louis Riddick had a lot to say about that. We'll get to that coming up around the corner. Ben Hartsock, former Buckeye, has interesting comments on who he believes should be the Buckeyes' next athletic director. Michael Lorenzen had a lot of cool sound bites following his no-hitter last night. The former Cincinnati Red. Man, he would look good in Cincinnati Reds jersey right about now, don't you think, Reds fans? Al Michaels. He had an interesting comment regarding a story that went viral regarding the Orioles play-by-play guy that was suspended because he pointed out some flaws with the Orioles. Unbelievable. We'll get to all of that coming up on Say What. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 Wing AM.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol. When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
A small $1 Slurpee drink from Speedway is the perfect frozen accessory for any summer outfit or whenever outfit. Slurpee, anything flows. Expires 12/31/2023 plus tax. Visit store for details.
Buckeye fans, don't miss Dayton's own Keith Byers every Wednesday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, we are back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. 518-1410, 518-1410. We'll get to say what in just a second. Talking, of course, about Mike Tannenbaum, former NFL general manager, part of ESPN. I went on multiple shows today and was just talking about the Bengals' approach to being without Joe Burrow to start the season. Well, unless you guys have heard something we haven't, Joe Burrow has not been ruled out of anything. I mean, we still are a month away. It is August 10th, September 10th and 11th, and all that is when the season kicks off. We're not even close to the season kicking off yet. There's still plenty of time. We shall see. But Ryan Holzapple messaged in, Kev. He goes, they can hit the ground running by running the football with Mixon. Take a look at what Logan Wilson said about Zach Taylor. They take care of their players, and they don't have camps like other teams do. Well, then why is the quarterback hurt every camp? I mean, what are we doing? What are you talking about? Look, I know what you're trying to say. Me and Ryan, we get along during with our Wright State connection. We get along with the Reds, but we just, I mean, his homerism, Kev, makes me nauseous. It just makes me sick.
Is that what it is?
It's exactly what I mean, what does he talk about? Look at what Logan Wilson said. The Bengals aren't like any other organization in football. I mean, they're not like a lot of organizations in football, but there's a handful that have not won a Super Bowl. I mean, you can't put them up there with, I mean, we're all the same. Browns fans, Steelers, or Bengals fans. I mean, come on. Sorry, Steelers have won. You won 1 or 2, right? 6? That's what I thought. 6. How about those playoff losses the last 10 years? Baker Mayfield,
You hanging on to that Baker Mayfield thing.
You lost to Tim Tebow.
Hanging on to that Baker Mayfield thing, huh?
That's the only thing we got.
Yeah, okay.
It's the only thing we had to show for that whole fiasco, nonetheless.
Outlier.
Right. Yeah, it's my favorite. Yeah, I guess that would be an outlier. Would be an outlier. All right, time for Say What.
All right.
It's Kenner Kev show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. A little Say What action. We play the soundbite. We react to it. You can react to it as well. Justin Kenner Show Facebook page, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, or text into the show at 518-1410. All right, Kev. So very interesting. Ron Rivera, unsolicited in the media the other day or yesterday, had kind of just come out and said that players had spoken out recently. They're not fans of the aggressive coaching style of new offensive coordinator Eric Bienemy. Now, Eric Bienemy is constantly in the headlines, more so towards the back end of the season, when head coaching jobs are coming up and his name is being mentioned for all of them, but yet never comes out with one. In fact, he got promoted last year from offensive coordinator of the Chiefs to offensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders. That's not a promotion. That's a big-time step back, but nonetheless. Ron Rivera apologized, said, I put my foot in my mouth for the comments he made publicly about players coming up to him regarding the coaching style of Eric Bienemy, and he apologized, and, a lot of analysts still not too pleased. ESPN's Louis Riddick had this to say regarding the Eric Bienemy situation.
There was no benefit for me for Ron Rivera airing this out publicly. If he wanted to send a message to his offense about being soft, which I agree with you, Boog, then I would have told him such. Are you seriously? This is pro football. You're coming to me about this coach is coaching me too hard. Are you serious? Okay, what have we won around here? What have we done? What has he won? Who has he coached? Who are some of the people that he has positively impacted in their career? All the way to the point where they have multiple Super Bowl runs. And I'm not just talking about Patrick Mahomes. This is talk about the running back room itself and the offense overall in Kansas City.
All right, that was ESPN's Louis Riddick. Kev, your reaction.
I'm with Lou. Look, man, you look at what he's helped Patrick Mahomes do. You look at what Tyreek Hill has said when all this stuff came out. He jumped right on social media and said, keep doing your thing, coach. I'm behind you 100%. He don't even play for him no more. He helped Tyreek Hill get a big contract with the Dolphins. He helped Tyreek Hill and the Kansas City Chiefs win a Super Bowl being the OC. The only other person in media that I actually saw on the player side of the Commanders is LaShawn McCoy, who played for the Kansas City Chiefs for a season, got a Super Bowl out of it, but he doesn't like the way he coaches either. But guess what? Nobody is going to be 100%. We can talk to any high school coach out there. Hey, does all your kids love you, coach? Nope. He's not going to say all of them love him. Some kids are going to hate him. Some kids are going to love him. So all the players aren't going to love the coaching style of Bienemy. But I'll say this. They averaged 19 points a game last year. This ain't an individual in the NBA scoring 19 points a game. That would be pretty good. But an NFL team averaging 19 points a game, not good enough. Not good enough. So if he's coaching them hard, it's for a reason. So if they can get that points per game up to, 25, 26 points a game and start turning those L's into W's, everybody's going to love coach then. They're going to be like, oh, man, you know what? You were right. You were right. You were right for riding us so hard during minicamp and going into the season. So I'm 100% with Coach Bienemy, man. Ride him hard and hopefully turn this thing around because, like he said, his job is on the line. He's not getting a head coaching job for whatever reason. So this is his opportunity. They kind of like move the goalpost to him. Like, well, let's see you run a team without Andy Reid and out Patrick Mahomes, even though other offensive coordinators under Andy Reid have got head coaching jobs. So this is his shot. This is his shot. Like, if I can turn this team around offensively, I'll be able to get my shot to be a head coach. So I understand where he's coming from.
I'm not anti-Eric Bienemy, but I'm not pro-Eric Bienemy either. Look, there's a lot to be made. He's been the poster child for some of the hiring practices in the NFL, whether there's race implications or not. He's kind of been the face of that the last couple of years. The only thing I'll point out is the hypocrisy of media when it comes to when this guy is coaching guys too hard. It's great. When Urban Meyer does it, he's the devil. When Nick Saban comes to the NFL, you can't coach these guys the way you do in college. You can't yell at them. You can't hold them. You can't get up in their face and But Eric Bieniemy's doing it. My God, Louis Riddick is losing his mind and all these people coming up. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy in that. That I'm not a fan of. The other thing that I'm not a fan of is Ron Rivera knows what the hell he's doing. Ron Rivera knew exactly why he dropped that. Ron Rivera knows that this football team's not very good. Ron Rivera knows that he's on the list of a lot of coaches that are on the hot seat heading into the 2023 season. Ron Rivera knows that, maybe if I kind of, I haven't heard many people criticize Eric Bienemy in a while. Maybe if I put something out there, that might make my job a little safer. Maybe I'm wrong, Kev, but I like, by the way, Rivera. I would love him in Cleveland. I want him to be the head coach in Cleveland. I have nothing against Ron Rivera, but I also know this was done. I don't think this was done on accident. This was done. I think there's not beef between the two, but I do think he sees how intense he is and how, hey, Eric Bienemy, they always talk about how you your job, dress not for the job you have, the job you want. I think, they were talking, one show I heard today was like, it's kind of weird to have, coordinators acting like a head coach within, but good for Eric Bienemy. He's not acting like the coach of the position he currently has. He's acting like the coach of the position he currently, wants in the future. And that's head coach. All I'm saying is, I don't think it's a coincidence that Ron Rivera dropped this. Ron Rivera is on the hot seat. Washington's not going to be very good this year. They're going to lose some football games. They're not going to be in the playoffs. And I don't see Ron Rivera being the head coach of this team after this year. But I think Ron Rivera is trying to protect his ass through the year. I think we could see Eric Bienemy be the head coach of the Washington Commanders or whatever they're going to be called in the future when it's all said and done. But do you think that could play a role in it too? Like I said, I think there could be some of that Jimbo Fisher and what's the coach that we're talking about, Petrino. Maybe there's a little of those dynamics of just being a little kind of keeping a side eye on the situation.
Yeah, when he offered these comments unsolicited, it did make me think like, okay, this was a team hire as opposed to, hey, Coach Rivera is out there looking to replace their offensive
don't ask
coordinator.
me. I didn't hire him.
Yeah. It's like, hey, man, this is an organizational hire. He just works under me. Like, that's a vibe I did get from it. Just like everybody else, I do like Coach Rivera. He's been able to do a lot of great things in this league, but like that was a little extra. Like, why are you putting that out there? Like, for what? Like, what happened to keep stuff in house? Keep family business. Why are you putting it out there to the media? He's been in this league long. I mean, he was a player in this league. I mean, he played for the Chicago Bears. So, I mean, he's been around this league long enough to know if you say something to the media unsolicited, it's going to take off like wildfire. And that's going to create a divide inside the team. So if he was saying that to try to, soften the blow of a bad season, no, it's just going to heat things up even worse. It's going to make it even worse.
Do you think Washington's good? Do you think that he survives the year?
I think he'll survive the year because I think he's a good coach and a good motivator. So they'll do kind of how they did last year. Like, they'll win some games like in like October and November, and then going into December, we think they have a chance when they really don't.
So moving on, and we'll get back to this in a little bit, by the way. So Kevin Brown, he's the play-by-play guy for the Baltimore Orioles. I don't know if you saw the clip.
I saw the clip.
I don't have the clip to air at the moment, but now keep in mind today's day and age, when they talk about when there's a white broadcaster that's being put across social media as he got suspended or he got let go, I'm thinking the worst. I'm thinking, he said something racial.
Went to a museum.
Oh God, I can't. They were doing like the 5 broadcasting blunders of the year. They had that list out today. And that was the first one, and I still oh God, that one made me so uncomfortable.
And his
so
guy
confidently,
just nodded like, "Yeah, we sure did." Like, all righty.
No, but I watched it. He did this, Kev. After he said it, he did this. I'm like, oh no, like that's probably the worst part. But no one even got to that part because everyone was so in shock. Anyways, focus, Kenner, focus. Bottom line is he put a graphic about, and I forgot who the Orioles were playing, but basically they have struggled to win on the road at this particular ballpark, and he highlighted that in his pregame monologue getting set for the game. And I watched it twice. I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, I didn't hear anything. There was no racially anything. There was no disrespectful anything. Well, the team got sensitive and suspended him because they felt like he depicted a team in a negative light. So I found all this fascinating, and because I'm waiting for more to come out of it. But social media has just ripped the Baltimore Orioles for the suspension of their broadcaster and Kevin Brown. And guess what? The fans aren't the only ones. Legendary broadcaster Al Michaels had this to say.
When I heard and read about it, Jeremy, I thought it was A, either a joke, or B, there had to be something much more insidious behind the suspension. And now that I realize that it had almost everything to do with apparently what was said about Tampa Bay and playing the Rays and having a lot of success recently when they had none in the last 3 years. I agree there should be a suspension here. They should suspend the doofus that suspended Kevin Brown.
From the top rope, Al Michaels saying doofus. This is absolutely ridiculously insane. And if I'm Kevin Brown, his value just went through the roof. If I'm Kevin Brown, I don't come back from suspension. I say, you know what, I'm good. I'm actually going to leave here mid-season because anyone is going to swoop this kid up. This kid does not have to fear about, losing his job or at least not being employed, very long. Bottom line is this is the stuff I absolutely hate. This is why I like working in Dayton, Ohio, where we're not directly associated with any particular team, because I could not, if there is something bad happening, I'm not going to tell you it's good just because, well, the owner of the team that we're associated with will get you fired. And that's what would happen. 700, the big one over at Cincinnati, great station. I would struggle working over there because of the fact, Kev, I couldn't sit here and tell you how great the team is doing. I couldn't sit here and act like, oh, them not making a move at the deadline was great. You've heard the way I am on this show. This probably me does not work in a lot of places. Me does not work in a lot of places because of stuff like this. Teams are shallow. Teams want to control the narrative, and teams, there'll never be another Marty Brennaman. There will never be another Marty Brennaman as far as I'm concerned, because I can't believe some of the stuff Marty got away with compared to what this kid just did that led to a suspension. My goodness. Bottom line is this is what teams do, though. They hold your employment against you.
Mm-hmm.
They'll hold access to the team against you. They'll tell you that the head coach will do interviews with everyone in town except your particular show from 3 to 6 on 1410 ESPN radio because you're not drinking the Kool-Aid. They like Kev Nash, but if you think that a coach taking over a team that went to the NCAA tournament 5 straight times and then they haven't made it in 7 years, and you think that that's a bad thing, you're the problem, not the coach. So, this is what teams do, Kev, college and pro. I hate it. I'm sick of it. And this is actually just horrific. It's not like he was criticizing anything. It's a fact. You have not won on the road in Tampa in 3 years. And that's what led to them suspending him. My gosh, you've got to be kidding me. And this is just an example of stuff that maybe fans don't realize, but us working in the industry, I see it all the time.
You said it perfectly. Michael said it perfectly. So I'll attack it from this angle. They're 71-44. They are leading the AL East. And this is what you're concerned about? Like, the Orioles haven't been good for quite some time. So you finally got a good team. And the guy that works for your network points out a fact, and you get mad about it. I wouldn't even been thinking about that. I would have been planning, what are we doing cool for the playoffs? What are we going to do cool so our fans can be super excited during a playoff game, so we can have our crowd riled up for the playoffs, because that's where they're headed. Like, why are you focused on this? And another thing, he's suspended. Did they suspend the producer? This is kind of behind the scenes, but like, a producer had to put that graphic up on the TV screen. Like, so everybody part of the broadcast got suspended, or just the guy, the face of it? So this is silly. This is silly 1,000,000%. Like you said, he'll find another job just like that if he decides not to come back to the Baltimore Orioles, because there'll be another team out there begging him to come, because apparently he's good at his job. And also they'll want to stick it to the Baltimore Orioles as well. So Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, it's a big L for them.
like why? Like, you're right, because we do have to give a lot of credit to the Cincinnati Reds, because they kind of, I won't say allow you to, or any other media person to speak their mind, but like, that's how it is. Like, if they know if they don't have a good product on the field, and they don't call you or shoot you emails, hey, heard what you said about blah, 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 blah. I heard you talking about coach the other day. Stop it. No, we're a Reds affiliate. They allow the on-air personalities to talk and voice their opinion. And that's how it should be. No, you shouldn't go over the top and anything like that. But like, hey, man, we're watching the game just like everybody else. We're paid to give our opinion. And for them to muzzle him like this and then suspend him, for goodness sakes, like, that is just way left field.
It is. And, for an example, with everything going on with the Reds, remember, the Reds were in a dumpster fire type situation in the offseason. Kevin and I are set up at Reds Fest this past year, and they say that Phil Castellini is going to be my first guest. I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting, because, I run my mouth a lot, but I run my mouth in Dayton, Ohio. It's not like we're, you know what I mean? He comes walking around the corner and says, no BS today, Kenner. No BS. That's the introduction. No BS today, Kenner. And that was basically just a shot to let me know, like, hey, remember the purpose of Reds Fest. This isn't TMZ radio, blah, 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 that type of stuff. Okay, cool. That's great. We kept it, some of the only thing he got on me about because I never watched Field of Dreams. And then that was the most, Mark Neal and I were doing the show out there. You were out there. So you saw it all go down. But, it is what it is. I just hate when teams do that. And the Reds have been good about that, but they've also haven't always been perfect. Talk to our Hall of Fame friend, Hal McCoy.
Right.
The one thing I love about Hal McCoy, and I've always respected about him, and it's sports media in general, but, he's a Hall of Fame writer, and he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. But Pete Rose is a very good friend of his. He had a falling out with Pete Rose because Hal McCoy was a professional, and when it came time to report on the stuff that was going down with Pete Rose was mad at Hal McCoy. Pete Rose didn't speak to Hal McCoy for a long time. And the stories of the relationship that Hal shares about his relationship with Pete Rose is fascinating because how close and respected that they respected each other. And it was one of those where Hal was such a professional, he had to cover the Pete Rose thing and he had to be very detailed and everything else. And that led the wrong, but Hal's a professional. He has to give his opinion. He has to write and cover these events. And the same thing, happened with the ownership of the Reds where they're frustrated with Hal because, hey, apparently when you lose, the writers are not supposed to write about how bad you are. And Hal McCoy's a professional and he doesn't lay down for anybody. And that's why he is one of the best in the history of this business and why I respect him so much. They've kind of bumped him a little bit for some of his stuff that he's written about them. So all teams do it. It's annoying. People always ask, you're the, Dayton's ESPN radio. How come you don't have Dayton's head coach on? He will not come on because I'm critical of the team. Every news station in town drools over them. Every radio station drools over them. I'm not drooling over them. I'm just pointing out flaws. I know it's weird. Dayton Flyers shouldn't have any flaws, right? I pointed out, and they will not give us access. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm not going to be made to look like a fool because, we're not capable of getting him on. No, he used to come on. He just won't come on. And just to be clear, Kev has nothing to do with this. It is 100% on me. It is 100% on me because I'm not liked because, again, every media person in town drools over the Dayton Flyers. I just won't do that. I'm not against Dayton. I'm just not going to drool over them like everyone else does. I'm using this as an example because they're an example of a program that, hey, if you don't drool over us and give us the coverage that we want, we're going to limit access to you. I used to sit on the floor when I'd cover UD games. Guess what? Kenner started being a little too critical. Now I'm sitting up in that little corner. Now, Kenner, you don't go to the games. I'm not going to Dayton. I'm not going to the games to sit up in that corner.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
You
seen that movie?
Yeah. You want media on the sideline that's going to drool over you. John Bedell, by all means, you go right on ahead. I don't care. You guys do you. Me? I'm not doing that. I've never said anything personal. Period. Seriously. It is what it is. But that's what teams do, and it drives me nuts. I'm not a fan of it at all. The Reds, everyone is guilty of it. But this is the one. By the way, they never announced his suspension. I think his team leaked it on purpose. And that's exactly what I would do too, because this is the thing. They started noticing he wasn't on the call. Tommy Throff, we started noticing he wasn't on the call for a bit. Guess what? We started asking questions.
Right.
It would get out, but Tommy's one of the best. That's for sure. All right. Next up, Kev, again, it's Say What right here on 1410 ESPN radio. I think I've had a few Say What moments. I probably can go back and erase, it is. But I can always tell Kev's eyes are my meter of probably shouldn't have said that. That's fine. Michael Lorenzen throws a no-hitter last night. Michael Lorenzen, former Cincinnati Red, and a guy that should be a current Cincinnati Red. He was a guy that the Reds should have got at the trade deadline, but the future. Well, let's talk about the now, because what happened now, or last night technically, Michael Lorenzen throws a no-hitter. Here's Michael Lorenzen.
It's unbelievable, to be honest. I've always dreamt about being able to throw a no-hitter and having the opportunity, and Skip gave me that opportunity to go 120 plus pitches, and man, it was incredible. Hats off to JT for game 2 and me again, not shaking at all and just being on the same page. I'm just blown away. That was the coolest moment of my baseball career, going out there for the 9th.
Very cool, very cool. Again, Michael Lorenzen threw the 14th no-hitter in Philadelphia Phillies history. One of those 14 no-hitters actually came against the Cincinnati Reds back in the playoffs, back in 2010 or 11 or whatever. It was just brutal. But the Washington Nationals, just a dazzling performance by him in only his second start, which beat the Nationals 7-0 this past Wednesday night. Michael Lorenzen, 31, struck out 5, walked 4, and improved to 2-0 since he was acquired from Detroit at the trade deadline for a minor leaguer. Wow, a minor leaguer, huh? good for the Nationals, good for Philly. Philly has aspirations of making the playoffs and winning a World Series, Kev, and they decided that we are willing to part ways with a minor leaguer to get a guy that can come in and make an immediate impact. And guess what? Lorenzen's 2-0 through a no-hitter. Philly's rolling, and the Reds have won 1 game since the deadline.
Yeah, this is the 6th no-hitter of the season. Seems like it's down, but I think this is where no-hitters should be. Last year, it seems like guys were getting no-hit left and right. It seemed like it was like at least 15 no-hitters last year. So this seems more on brand. The biggest thing I took away from it, because I heard a longer clip of it earlier today, he was saying there was someone for the Phillies who had a no-hitter going into the 5th inning, like back in April, and their skipper pulled him out the game.
Yep.
And all I could think to myself is like, we got to get away from this pitch count thing, especially when a guy has a no-hitter. Like, these are special moments. Like, it isn't like, oh man, you'll get him next time. The chances of a pitcher throwing a no-hitter twice is highly unlikely. So if somebody has a good thing going and they have a no-hitter, just let them roll. And then after they give up if they're over the pitch count and they give up a hit, then take them out the game. I'm not a fan of not letting dudes go for history, man. Like, let dudes go for history, man. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy that baseball is in a place where the no-hitter is being celebrated again, because like last year, it just seems like we were getting like 2 a month. So I'm happy.
Yeah, again, Michael Lorenzen, the 5th player in MLB history to throw a solo no-hitter in his home debut with the team. See, this is the weird stuff. He's the 5th pitcher to throw a no-hitter, a solo no-hitter with his new team on a Tuesday with a full moon, partly cloudy, and storms 2 states over. I mean, my gosh. But, yes, it was quite an accomplishment for Michael Lorenzen, and just more salt in the wound for Reds fans who wanted Lorenzen's return, who would have been a huge plus for the Reds right now as we currently sit here. Now, the other thing about the April no-hitter you brought up, not really defending it, but I do know, like, pitchers coming in. So in April, you're more apt to see a manager maybe pull a guy earlier in the game, because you're just like in April, you're probably making your first, second, or third, if maybe start, probably your first or second start of the day or the season. So I understand that. But at this point of the season, everyone, you have enough mileage on that. But then some people will say, well, now you don't want to overwork guys. You got to save them for later and blah, blah, blah. But you're right. We've seen managers make some of them weird decisions. David Bell would be itching. I don't know if he throws that no-hitter for Mr. David Pull-Him-Out Bell. How many kids does David Bell have?
Oh, gosh.
Next. We'll be right back. Kenner and Cap, 1410 Wing AM.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment, featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
Want to try the best in boneless chicken? Head to Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 10-piece strips meal. With 10 freshly marinated, honey-dipped, hand-breaded breast strips, 2 irresistible large sides, 5 fluffy biscuits, and 3 dipping sauces, it's the best in strips and a meal to match. Bring home dippable, craveable perfection for the whole family with a Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken 10-piece strips meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Okay, so website's done.
Okay, great. But now we need to optimize it.
Optimize?
The build it and they will come mindset doesn't really work here.
So what do we need to do?
There's SEO, paid search, social media, text and mobile marketing, and...
Yeah, we're going to need some help.
There's SEO, SEM, targeted display, location targeting, social media advertising, OTT, and CTV. We have expertise that will get your business noticed, allowing you to focus more on your business. Go to alphadigitaldayton.com. That's alphadigitaldayton.com. Or call 937-519-0035.
Don't give in to that constant joint pain. Take control. Take back your quality of life today with help from QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Keith Byers. QC Kinetics is helping people every day, here and across the country. They're amazing non-surgical treatments that repair and restore damaged joint tissue. They use the latest advances in regenerative medicine, taking your own body's healing agents and concentrating them in the right area where you have that agonizing pain. This incredible, non-invasive approach helps you take back control of your body, relieving the pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, or back. No invasive surgery, no harmful drugs or steroids, and no downtime. Listen, summertime needs to be about having fun and making memories. Golfing, hiking, enjoying the outdoors. Take control now and start living pain-free again. Call now for your free consultation with QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Yonder Mountain String Band, Railroad Earth, and Leftover Salmon are teaming up for the not-to-be-missed bluegrass event of the summer. 2 nights, 3 legendary bands, each playing full sets. Live at Taft Theater on August 10th and at Rose Music Center at the Heights on Friday, August 11th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss Yonder Mountain String Band, Railroad Earth, and Leftover Salmon, together live in Ohio.
So you're in the middle of a kitchen update, and you can't tell if that's a faucet stem or a flange. With the Home Depot app, doing doesn't miss a beat. It'll find what you need in a snap, and it'll show you how to find it in store with a tap. Or get it delivered free. For doing that doesn't stop, download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
O'Reilly. Protect your engine with Syntec Full Synthetic Motor Oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec is designed for today's engines to dissipate heat and reduce friction and wear. Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $33.99, plus 2 times O Rewards points. Limits apply. Choose Syntec exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Attention, your money is now controlled by the U.S. government.
Picture a world where your every purchase is monitored, tracked, and controlled by those in power to suppress the freedoms of those they see fit. Hi, my name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. And right now, I've become very focused on the impending rollout of the central bank digital currency. This is not a work of fiction. It's a terrifying reality looming on the horizon. But there is a bit of good news. I've partnered with Advantage Gold to offer you a solution. They are specialists in converting your traditional assets, like those inside an IRA or 401k, into tangible assets such as physical gold and silver. Don't allow your money to be controlled. Claim your free gold protection kit from Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
KFC's new Ultimate Barbecue Fried Chicken Sandwich. It's a barbecue in every bite, only at KFC. That's finger-licking good.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, make sure you subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, local high school sports, Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, and more. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe today.
And we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Kev, a little bit ago, you mentioned, you talked about the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are kind of known for playing a lot of their starters, and there's a reason that they jump out. I mean, I think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are undefeated in September and October, if I'm not mistaken. I know they're undefeated in September. I think they've lost in October, but they've never lost in September.
Okay.
And, could that be because, like you said, they play their starters throughout? I tweeted out earlier today that I feel like there's been a lot more announcements of teams saying that, CJ Stroud will play tonight. We'll get a chance to see CJ Stroud for the Texans right off the bat. And again, a series 2 at the most.
I might tune in.
But with that, usually the announcements over the years have been no starters will play in preseason. But I've noticed across the league, a lot of teams are announcing that starters are going to play in some capacity. I mean, September football has just been brutal the last couple of years in the NFL. I mean, it's been ugly. That Steelers-Bengals game was hideous. And we saw that the Bengals definitely were not as bad as they looked in that game, but to your team's credit, they weren't as bad as what they looked in that game either. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was like, the Bengals, we know that their ceiling's higher, blah, 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 but that the way your team looked was just absolutely horrendous. And I'm like, man, this might be one of the worst Steelers teams ever. And they still just kept fighting and finished above 500 and all that type of stuff. But that's just the thing. Obviously you're never going to be as sharp in September as you're going to be in October, November, December. But the bottom line is you're doing yourself no favors not taking advantage of these live game reps, because I know they do these joint practices, but even talking with Keith and others who have played in the NFL, those joint practices, they do help. It's new bodies, it's new blood again, right across from you. But you still can't replicate actual game speed. In preseason, at least, that's as close to live game speed as you're going to get. You cannot replicate it in dual scrimmages and everything. So I do think that plays a role. But I'm not saying we're going to see a ton of starters throughout the preseason, but I think we're going to see significantly more than what we've seen in years past.
Yeah, when you roll out your starting quarterback, obviously you're going to roll out there with your starting offensive line because they're the best that you got. You want to protect your quarterback. And then there's no point of having your starting offensive line and starting quarterback out there without having your starting wide receivers. Yep. Well, we got the starting wide receiver. Might as well have the starting running back. So, everybody gets a rapport. And stop me if you heard this before. It's a copycat league. Everybody sees what the Kansas City Chiefs do in the preseason. So, they're about to start doing it. Well, it's working for them. We should try it too. Because I remember a time where they used to do that. And then I think it was the Tom Brady or was it Michael Vick? One of those guys got hurt for the season in the preseason, and then after that everybody just put everybody in bubble wrap and said, hey man, we're going to let a whole bunch of undrafted free agents go out there and play in the preseason. We'll see in September. And now Kansas City's out there blowing dudes out in the first half in the NFL games, which you rarely see. I mean, think about what they did to the Cardinals last year in the first game of the season. It was over before it started. I think it was 17-0 in the first quarter. That's good football right there, because they're out clicking on all cylinders.
And I get it. I mean, we spend a lot of the offseason talking about contracts and just the stupid money that's being spent. And these organizations who are investing a ton of money into these guys, I mean, they are holding their breath during these preseason games, because it's you want them to play during the preseason because of that. You don't want to get off to a slow start in September, but it's man, this is only going to start trending back to starters playing, Kev, until a Patrick Mahomes goes down.
Right.
Joe Burrow, he was rolling out to his right and his quad and his calf just, tightens up and he goes down to the ground. Imagine that happens in an actual preseason game. I know it sounds silly. It sucks that it happened in practice, but Kev, even if that happened in a preseason game, I promise you, network shows all around the country the next day.
Oh yeah.
Should he have been out there? Zach Taylor, did he ruin the season? Zach Taylor. And by the way, coaches are doing nothing wrong playing starters, but they'll always be questioned. This weekend, it's unfortunate. A legitimate starting quarterback is going to go down this weekend. I hope that's not the case, but or a big time starter, a big time wide receiver, a big time running back, even though they mean absolutely nothing. So who cares? Hopefully the kickers stay healthy though. That's all that matters. The kickers, baby. But no, you know what I mean? A major star is going to get hurt this weekend. And I promise you, when we come in on Monday or Tuesday, we will be talking about the fact that, oh man, should they have been out there? Or network shows, man, the coach should not have had that quarterback out there or that receiver out there. We'll see. And you bring up a good point. You're not going to have your quarterback getting reps with the second string receiver unit because, everything has to go perfect to avoid someone getting hurt. You don't definitely not going to put your quarterback behind the second string offensive line group. So yeah, it's fascinating nonetheless.
Yeah, it's a roll of the dice, man. And sometimes you crap out. When the Bengals had their charity softball game here at Day Air Ballpark, they were asking Coach Taylor about hey, are you worried about having your guys out here playing a softball game? And he kind of kept it real, and we're going to live our lives. We can't just be in bubble wrap the entire time we're not playing football. We got to go out here. We got to have fun. This is camaraderie and team unity building and everything like that. We're going to go out there and, hopefully nothing happens. So I'm with it, man. This is football. People are going to get hurt. Like Jalen Ramsey got hurt the very first day of practice. Like it happens. This is football. Unfortunately, people are going to get hurt. So I've always err on the side of, hey, man, go out there and play in the preseason, man. Don't play a full game, but like go out there, go get those reps, man. I think you are able to gain more than the risk. I think you're able to get more out of it than what could possibly go wrong.
Yeah, and I think if you're an organization, I'd rather my quarterback get hurt in team organized activities than a softball game at Dare Ballpark, though. I will say I was surprised. They played hard during that softball game, too. They're trying to run out throws. They were, like sprinting for home. And I know Zach Taylor saying, oh, we're going to live our lives. I have no problem with that response, but, what if Trey Hendrickson, trying to beat out a tag at first and ends up rolling his ankle coming up? I highly doubt that the front office management's going to be like, well, at least they were living their lives, but you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly.
So it is what it is as far as that's concerned, but nonetheless. All right, it's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 Wing AM, hour number 1 in the books, hour number 2 coming up. Logan Paul says wrestling's harder than boxing. He said that on the Stephen A. Smith podcast. Of course, everyone started ripping him for that, but, another huge name boxer actually supports him in that. We'll talk about that coming up around the corner. We'll get into Ohio State, Gene Smith. Gene Smith, what's he most known for? Is he most known for something positive or negative? And we'll talk about, as fans, do you even care about the athletic director position? How much do you truly care about the athletic director position as fans? How many athletic directors could you name out there? I'm just curious. I don't know. I know because we host a show, so I'm very into what the athletic director does. But if I didn't do this, I don't know if as a fan I would care about who the athletic director is. Should you, though? We'll talk about that coming up. Hour 2. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Have you lost Ohio Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The extracurricular activities, the traffic, the nightly homework, the traffic, the finding time to eat dinner together as a family, the traffic. Back to school can be stressful. Thanks to Ziploc, meal prep doesn't have to be. New Ziploc bags with Stay Open design have a patented stand-up bottom that helps keep the bag upright and a top crease that folds and holds for easy filling, unlocking a second set of hands in the kitchen. If only it unlocked a second set of lanes. New Ziploc brand freezer and storage bags with Stay Open design from S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware, if you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff and store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
When our hometown auto dealers are doing well, the positive benefits are felt throughout the entire area. In fact, last year alone, car dealers had an economic impact of over $225 billion statewide, and they created over 291,000 jobs in our local communities. A thriving auto dealer brings more customers to our shops, restaurants, and service industries. With new car and truck inventory now back on the lots, we're all driving in the right direction. Alpha Media Dayton salutes the many local car dealers across our great state. It's a great time to buy. So next time you drive past the local car dealer, drop in, take a look. They're not just selling cars. They're fueling our local Dayton economy.
With more ways than ever to connect to news and entertainment, 90% of new car buyers want the tried and true AM/FM radio option. Gadgets are great, but when you're behind the wheel, you just want the local connection that can't be replicated. Local AM/FM radio is dependable and free, with no subscription or cellular data required. And as the backbone of the emergency alert system, we are here to keep you safe in dangerous times. Visit wearebroadcasters.com and tell us how you depend on AM.
Wendy's BOGO $1 deal is back at participating Wendy's. Buy a Dave single spicy chicken sandwich, 10-piece nugs, or medium frosty, and get another for $1. Double your deliciousness. Hurry, this BOGO deal won't last.
ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel is where you can watch Dayton's only local sports talk show. Hang out with Kinner and Kev weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Are you ready?
I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash coming at you live. Hour number 2. High school football kicks off a week from tonight, Kev.
Wow.
A week from tonight. And our ESPN Dayton High School Football Game of the Week will feature the biggest rivalry in the Miami Valley, of course. Fairmont and Alter. Can't wait.
Battle of Kettering.
I think every year except so in the COVID season, because all the conferences, they just played conference only schedules. I think it was like a 6-game schedule that year. But every year that we've done high school football here with Alpha Media and then WING, we've opened up with Fairmont Alter. That's a perfect way to kick it off every year.
As we should. We are in Kettering.
Yep.
So, that's where the station is located. Very easy to get to for us. You make a right and the left and we're there.
Boom. But I can't believe this. I mean, we say that every year, but I do feel like it has kind of creeped up on a lot of people this season.
Absolutely. So. And I was actually talking about this today on Hot 1029, actually pumping up the fact that you guys are going to be broadcasting the games next week.
Cross-promotion. Who would have thought it?
Yeah, imagine that. And somebody called in and was like, well, you're biased because your godson plays for Centerville. I'm like, yeah, I'm rooting for Centerville this year. He's a senior this year. I've been rooting for Centerville the last 4 years.
And Shayla, I told you, I'll talk to you when I get home. And then
I just like next year, I'll be rooting for Michigan State for 3 to 4 years. Sorry. It's family.
By the way, so Reggie, shout out to Reggie Powers, by the way, Centerville.
Yes, sir.
Centerville, man, they're playing Lakota East.
Yes.
Isn't that?
Wait.
Hold up. Who are they playing in week 1? Are they opened up? Isn't that Kitna? Is that Kitna's team?
Don't quote me.
It's all right. I shouldn't have asked you without actually confirming before, but nonetheless, there's a lot of very exciting week 1 matchups. It was a lot to choose from, but again, we'll always have to start with Alter Fairmont. Pretty jacked about that. We're going to get to see Northmont in week 2. We got a lot. I mean, we're again, and it's so tough too, because people are always like, well, how come you don't call this school's games? So there's multiple ways to go about kind of figuring out how to do this, Kev. You could latch yourself to one school and be the kind of the radio home for that particular school, which I am not against. I mean, there's so many great schools to pick from, but we selfishly enjoy getting to see multiple schools and multiple, student athletes and kind of get to take in a lot. It's 10 weeks. We only get to pick one game each week. I miss out on all the great football throughout the Miami Valley every week, like outside of the one game that we're doing. So we don't pick this team because we don't like your team. That's the one message I want to throw out there. Like wherever we're at, we're there because there's 2 great teams that we're looking forward to calling a game for. We're not there because we think everyone else is bums. That's definitely not the case at all. We would love, we're a bigger station. Love to have multiple games ongoing and, across the cluster and all that stuff nonetheless. But I'm excited about it. Springfield Trotwood in week 3. Jeff Graham, of course, leading Trotwood. And then, it's just pretty dang cool. The great coaches in the area that you have, of course. And then Springfield, you want to talk about the powerhouse that they've kind of turned into.
Absolutely. And
Mo Douglas is just amazing.
To answer your question, yeah, Lakota East is coached by John Kitna. Yeah.
And that's just the key. Like, I don't think we realize how special it is that some of these kids have a chance to play for guys like Jeff Graham. I mean, and by the way, you don't have to play, football at a high level to be a great football coach, but that has to just be some extra flavor to that. Like, if you're a parent in the Miami Valley and your kid's playing for Jeff Graham, NFL college football experience, and Mo Douglas, who knows a thing or two about playing in the NFL and playing in college. I mean, and it's not a coincidence that Springfield is such a powerhouse. It's not a coincidence that Jeff Graham has had Trotwood play at the highest of levels before. So that's pretty cool. But Keith said back when he played, great coaches, but like there was no former like guys that played in the NFL and were coming back to the Miami Valley to coach and bring that expertise. So that's something rare and special and unique that I don't think, we realize just how cool that is.
Very cool. You talked about Coach Mo and everything that's going on up there in Springfield. I don't know if we had a chance to talk about Aaron Scott Jr.'s commitment to Ohio State. Did you see the video?
Yeah, see, I liked it though, because he got me on like multiple occasions. I'm like, oh, he has the Michigan bag. Cool. And then he pulled out the Buckeye jersey out of the Michigan bag after taking the other bags and throwing them off to the side. I mean, there was a lot of thought put into that, but it's like, just announce where the heck you're going. But I can't hate. It was cool. And especially it makes it a little easier for me not to hate because he picked our school.
Absolutely. I'm not going to front, man. I got a little nervous. That he
not
was
a traitor like your godson. I'm just saying.
Thought he's going to take his talents up to Ann Arbor for a hot second. But he made a great decision. Pulled out the number 5, Braxton's number, everything like that. So that was pretty cool, man. So it's so much talent across the Miami Valley, going to big time schools and playing some good football, and it's going to be here next week.
Kenner and Cab, 1410 ESPN Radio. Big news came out yesterday. Ohio State's athletic director, Gene Smith, announced that in the summer of, I think, July of 2024, he'll officially retire as the athletic director of the Ohio State Buckeyes. And this was breaking news, and it got a lot of people's attention. And I sat back, and I'm like, well, I'm not pro or anti Gene Smith. I think he's done a tremendous job, but I think that anyone Ohio State, I mean, you could always do a bad job. Don't get me wrong. But there's enough people at Ohio State that make the right decision. I mean, like, you're not just being picked out of a hat to go be the athletic director over there. You're going through a rigorous, interview process. And obviously they made the right choice. I mean, Ohio State, one of the top athletic programs in the country, can't deny the success that they have had under his tutelage. Now you could say, well, are they a well-oiled machine that it's just drop someone in there and off you go? I don't know. I think we learned in 2020, having the right people in place during times of crisis could be very, very crucial.
100%.
And I think Gene Smith came out looking very, very good in that situation. So I say all of this because I heard that yesterday, Kev, and the sports radio talk host in me said, "Ooh, that's big. That's huge." But the fan in me was like, I don't know what that means. I really, as a fan, I am very curious for those of you out there who are Buckeye fans or college football fans in general. I know that Keith Tolliver, he's in our chat section right now. Shaw's a Michigan fan. Forget the school, but wherever your school is, are you in love with your athletic director? And I'm not saying athletic directors don't matter. I'm talking from a fan perspective. Was yesterday's news as big a deal as what we tried to make it out to be? That's what I don't know, because you guys dictate whether it's big news or not. We know the pitfalls that come with a transition of power in this type of situation, but do fans really care about that? Ryan Day's still the head coach.
Right.
Brian Hartline's bringing in the best receivers in the country. Ryan Day keeps putting quarterbacks, in the Heisman, sending him to New York as Heisman finalists. Like to see them win one eventually. Like to see him get, all that stuff. But everything just keeps moving. I'm just curious, people's thoughts on, is this a big deal that Gene Smith announced his retirement yesterday? And I mean that no disrespect towards him whatsoever. I'm just saying, do fans actually care about the AD? How many of you care about the athletic directors of your college programs?
Athletic directors had a bigger responsibility when college football wasn't as money making as it is today, and corporate and everything like that. And the boosters have a lot of power and sway now. I think the athletic director, or specifically speaking to Gene Smith, he's done a great job. Think about some of the hires that he was able to make. And I know people are going to say, like, well, no, the boosters made those hires. Well, he still has to close the deal. And you'll know a bad athletic director when you see it. You don't necessarily see a good athletic director when things are rolling smooth, because things are great. Things are rolling smooth. The women's team just made a deep run into March Madness. College, the football team's always good. Like the ship just keeps on rolling and everything like that. You get a bad athletic director in there, you will know it. It's kind of almost like, hey, man, if you got a bad long snapper, you don't know it until something bad happens. Until something bad happens, you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And they are not only important in their role to be, fundraisers for the university and everything like that, specifically the athletic department, but like they're the liaison between the school and the conference that they serve in as well. So I think it's a very important role. but you don't notice it until it's bad. When they do a bad hire, for instance, the other team I follow, Florida State football, whoever decided to hire Willie Taggart, bad move. That was a bad move. And then when you get a round robin of athletic directors bouncing in and out of your program, you start to see things sway and things of that nature. So overall, it doesn't matter, quote unquote, but when things go bad, it matters.
Yeah. So, like, and obviously, I mean, here in Dayton, Neil Sullivan, the athletic director for University of Dayton, of course, Bob Grant, athletic director for Wright State. You are viewed like, so look at all the sports that Neil Sullivan is overlooking as athletic director for Dayton. You mean there's more than just University of Dayton men's basketball, right? Like, he has that whole, I mean, it's the athletics program. You're in charge of the program as a whole.
Right.
You know, Bob Grant, the athletic director at Wright State, he's the athletic director for the athletics program. I mean, and that's what makes, you know, when you look at them, I always say this about Wright State, you know, obviously Dayton, when you think of Dayton, you think of right away basketball, right? With Wright State, you think of basketball, but they, from an athletics program standpoint, from the fact that they are, I mean, one of the best baseball program in Ohio, regulars in the NCAA tournament in baseball.
Second best baseball team in the state next to the Reds.
Golf always in the tournament. You know, soccer has made regular appearances in the NCAA tournament. They volleyball, I mean, got an at-large bid in the tournament and all this stuff. And that's constant. Every year they have multiple programs winning their conference. Every year they have multiple programs going to the NCAA tournament. Every year that's the case under Bob Grant. They have responsibilities to overlook the program as a whole, as opposed to if your football team's bad, you're a bad athletic director.
Right.
And I think, to be fair, every program, every school has a sport that success dictates your employment. You know, if Wright State basketball is like if they're always bad, but they're winning at everything else, that's on Bob Grant. Why it's not right or wrong, but that's, you know what I mean? Like, we're not saying the other sports don't matter, but we know what moves the needle. You know what I mean? You know what moves the needle. Same thing with Neil Sullivan. Baseball team, all this other stuff. That's great. They care about him, but that's not keeping Neil Sullivan employed. It's about what they do with the basketball program. I say all this because how many Dayton fans actually truly know who Neil Sullivan is? Not, I mean, Wright State, smaller fan base, but I mean, is everyone like, man, if Bob Grant leaves, we're in trouble. And I'm here to tell you are. If Bob Grant leaves, yes, you are in trouble. I'm a big Bob Grant guy. Yes, you are in trouble. So I guess with this Gene Smith thing at Ohio State, is this a dangerous transition period considering all the other change that's going on? Gene Smith, who's been a regular there for decades, is leaving. And you're entering a new era in college athletics. I mean, you have UCLA and USC joining the Big Ten along with Washington and Oregon. And who knows, there's probably not the only teams. I mean, there are probably more teams coming. Expanded college football playoff. They might be expanding the NCAA tournament. How long will women's sports and the non-important sports in the eyes of most from revenue generators still be intact with this moving forward? Who knows? All of this could be just, we don't know what the landscape's going to be. This is a dangerous time to be changing athletic directors. That's all I got to say. It's just it's a lot to learn on the run. You bring in a new athletic director, there's nothing to learn. You're having to you're not just relearning this landscape. You're having to learn the whole college football landscape to begin with. I don't know. I think this is a big deal, Kevin. I think this could be dangerous for for Ohio State athletics as a whole if they don't nail this hire.
Absolutely. I can't remember Michigan's athletic director before their current athletic director, but he was a corporate guy. And that was like when they made like the switch over from, I believe they had Nike, and then they like had a little quick run with Adidas, and everything basically was for sale at Michigan. And that was a dip in Michigan, not only football, but basketball, as well as like, merchandising as well. So like, when you make decisions and then it affects the bottom line, you make these decisions to kind of like bring in revenue, and then they go the opposite way. And then you start losing games on the field. Everybody looks at the changes that you made.
Yep.
And they point the finger at you. So it's a very important hire for Ohio State. Now we're stepping into the realms of things I have no idea who they should hire. Because automatically people are going to say, oh, man, hire X, Y, and Z, or hire this guy or hire that guy. I have no idea who they should hire. No idea. People are going to say, get another athletic director from another big-time school. Well, Gene Smith came from Arizona State. And then before that, he was like at Eastern Michigan. So like you can't just simply depend on like, all right, go pluck another AD from another big time school because you could miss out on a gem from somewhere else. So I think they should do an extensive search and figure it out, because that is way out of my realm of even processing like what actually an athletic director does outside of, you know, fundraising and things of that nature.
Jim Tressel,
the vest.
Does that ring a? I mean,
Yeah.
not ring a bell. Does that
Rings a big bell?
Does that pique your interest?
No,
I think you're going to hear names like that because we know those names. It's not like
Right.
you know, we don't have a Rolodex of AD contacts and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I see a lot of people throwing out Jim Tressel's name. Seen a ton of Urban Meyer's name. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now: Urban Meyer would be a horrible athletic director. Not because for all the reasons you guys think, although the reasons I'm about to say are really what has gotten him in trouble throughout his run is, and he's admitted this, he's loyal to a fault. If a coach, he would never fire anybody. If a coach is not winning or not doing what they're supposed to, I feel like Urban wouldn't make the right, or if a coach is involved in something they shouldn't be, he wouldn't take action the way he should. He proved that at Ohio State. He proved that at Florida. He's proven that pretty much at a lot of his stops. And that would be my concern if Urban Meyer, and I don't think that this, I mean, I think this is more stressful than a head coaching job. If you thought he was having, you know, some, you know, facing a lot during those times as head coach, I think it's even more as an athletic director, just because of everything going on right now in the transition and change in sports. So I think he'd be a horrible AD for that very reason.
I think it would be a horrible situation, not only for him, but for Coach Day as well, because knock on wood, they lose to Michigan for a third year in a row. They're going to be like, oh, coach should just come out of being an AD and coach the football team and get Ryan Day up out of there. So it's going to cause more pressure
like
inside the football
college version
team.
of Pat Riley.
Exactly. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Another reason I would say no to Jim Tressel is the same reason that I'm saying happy that Gene Smith is retiring. Gene Smith is so I looked up, he's 67 years old. Coach Tressel is 70. Like, when's this gonna end? Like, we can't just keep on going to the same well over and over and over again, like the recycling of NBA head coaches and everything like that. Let's get some new blood in there and push this thing forward, because that's where the sport is going. It's going forward. It's not going backward.
If it's Tressel, I'm fine with it because of his. I mean, he's been a head coach. He's been an AD. He's been a president of a university.
Yeah.
Urban would be horrible because he's just a football coach. Tressel's more than that. He would check off a lot more boxes. Now, the age thing, even though you're not allowed to say, which is wild to me, that you're not allowed to use age. I mean, age matters a ton. Like, let's just be clear. But I know you're not allowed to say that, so whatever. I mean, you know, by the way, we're an equal opportunity employer, by the way. I don't make the hiring, so it's fine. But no, seriously, I think Tressel would check off more boxes because he is more just experienced outside of just being a former head coach. Him being a president at Youngstown State for many, many years. I mean, he came on the show regularly every year. He would come on the week of Ohio State, Michigan when he was the president at Youngstown just to talk about that game and to talk Cleveland Browns. I love Jim Tressel. But no, I think he wouldn't be terrible, but I do think there's other directions to go. So Ben Hartsock, former Ohio State Buckeye, he was asked his thoughts on who he believes is going to be the next athletic director at Ohio State. Take a listen.
There's a name that I have experience with that has been, quietly is a 20-year younger version of Gene Smith, maybe even more years than that. Pat Chun is the current athletic director at Washington State that I think has a tremendous resume, both as a fundraiser, as a leader within within college athletics, vision, connected, has put his time in. So he had spent 10, 15 years at Ohio State during the time that I was there, went on to FAU, was a part of bringing them to a more national prospect or national prominence, and now several years as the leader of Washington State. I think he's an obvious and amazing choice to fill, especially with the connections and the history to Ohio State. His wife's from there. His daughter's actually going to be a student at Ohio State. So there's tremendous connections there.
And again, sounds great. I don't know what that means, though. I don't. Tressel, because of familiarity with the name. But it sounds like he checks off a lot of boxes. But again, at the end of the day, we can all have hot takes of who we think the AD should be. But the bottom line is none of us have any idea what goes into being an athletic director and what decisions would have to be made as far as that's concerned. Someone brought up a good point. Keith Tolliver, he said Gene Smith was the Big Ten commissioner, basically. Let's be real. I mean, and the thing is, too, maybe he's retiring because the traditional responsibilities of what he's had is no longer the case. I don't know how much power he has anymore. By the way, read more into the Oregon and Washington additions to the Big Ten. The quote that I find fascinating is people keep bringing up that it made, I mean, this comes from Gene Smith. It made a lot of sense to approve the additions of Washington and Oregon when Fox brought more money to the table.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, you could talk about voting upon it by the coach, ADs and stuff. You're going to be the one cog in the wheel that's voting against it. That ain't just get out of the way. It's either if you vote against it, you're going to be pushed out, and Fox will urge Ohio State to get someone. Like, I'm not saying Gene Smith would have voted against it, but like, you're not making these decisions. I just don't know how important. You got to be a good handler of people, I guess.
Handler of people, good fundraiser, because as much money as football brings in, they spend a lot of it as well.
Yep.
So you're still fundraising for the non-revenue sports, for, for the hockey team, for fencing, for track and field, and all those types of things. And especially at Ohio State, they're known for having a good track and field program as well as a baseball program. So like those people want scholarships too. You know what I'm saying? They provide those guys scholarships too. So you need those endowments. You need to keep those relationships. It's more than showing up to the shoe on a Saturday.
Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Your weather forecast for today, mostly cloudy, then becoming partly cloudy early this afternoon, then becoming mostly sunny with highs in the lower 80s. I'm Al Mushley for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff and store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
Keep your home's exterior beautifully protected with Menard's great selection of exterior paints and stains. Dutch Boy Exterior Stain and Sealer is dirt and scuff resistant to preserve the wood's natural beauty and begins repelling rain in just 4 hours after application. Pick up a gallon of semi-transparent stain for just $35.94 plus save 11% now at Menard's. Good through August 13th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Got chronic joint pain but want to avoid steroids and surgery? Take some advice from pro football legend Emmitt Smith. Call QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life with biologic therapies that get your body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
These exciting new regenerative treatments from local medical professionals can help your body heal itself with lasting pain relief.
Trust me, you want to avoid surgery if you can. Check out these biologic treatments to see what your options are.
QC Kinetics, restorative, regenerative solutions with no downtime, no surgery, no drugs.
I'm talking about joint pain we all can relate to in your knees, your shoulders, your hips, and your lower back. They'll get you feeling good again.
Get relief now.
What are you waiting on? Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmett Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now, online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
Ready for a new take on Nashville Hot? Swing by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for the Nashville Hot Mac and Cheese Bowl at a great price. With hand-breaded premium breast strip bites tossed in Nashville Hot flavor, all nestled into a bowl of creamy mac and cheese. It's a meal with craveable kick. Discover the hottest thing in mac and cheese when you try the Nashville Hot Mac and Cheese Bowl from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken at a great price. Here for a limited time, only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment, featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Last chance for early deals. Black Friday now at Mattress Firm ends Tuesday. Save up to $600 and get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases.
Have a hot take of your own that you're just dying to get off your chest? Text or call the ESPN Dayton hotline at 937-518-1410. That's how you can be a part of our local shows throughout the week, like the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m., and the Keith Byers Show, Mondays at noon. Call or text the shows at 937-518-1410.
Kinner and Cav live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We are Dayton's radio home for a lot, including your Ohio State Buckeyes and your Cincinnati Reds. No Reds baseball tonight. I think they have 3 off days in the next 8, which is pretty interesting because I think they're 1-8, so they've already had 8 off days since the trade deadline. So
y'all got 2 off days next week. Y'all play my Guardians twice.
You're going to that, right?
I don't think I need to go.
I know. You don't need a lot, but you tell me about your shoe buying habits. I'm just saying you don't need those either. But I mean,
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go just because it's my squad, and they're closer than going up to Cleveland. But no, man, it's just super frustrating. Like, so yesterday they lost 1-0, and then the day before that they won 1-0. Like, it just seems like they can find a pitcher anywhere. Like, because these dudes that they got pitching now are young guys, and they're out there throwing gas. They're doing great. The bullpen's great. The starting pitcher is great. Like, the pitching is great. The fact that they don't have a stick in the lineup, not a one. Naylor's hurt. Hosey is supposed to be suspended after punching Tim Anderson and everything like that. I saw his last at bat last night, and he was just swinging for the fences. And I'm like, dude, just put bat on the ball. They don't have anybody that can hit. Anybody that can hit right now. And it's embarrassing that a major league team with so much talent on one side of the ball, being the pitching staff, has absolutely none hitting wise. They can't hit. They can't hit. If you can't hit, you can't run, you can't win, you can't score. It's laughable, to be perfectly honest, man. And I put all that on ownership for cashing it in.
Guardians 8.5 games out of the American League.
Over.
Wild card,
Over.
3.5 games
Over.
out of the division.
TKO.
Cincinnati Reds this is what's wild about all their struggles, Kev. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They're 1-7 since the trade deadline. They're a half game back in the wild card. I mean, that's the thing is, like, statistically mathematically they're still in it, but I don't think they're in it. It's between the ears right now, and I'm not going to question a professional athlete's heart, but I mean that's what the talking heads like to do. But I don't know what's going on. And like what's frustrating is like when the Reds pitching is on fire, which it is right now. I think they said so since the deadline, everyone's making a big deal about not getting Lorenzen or not getting starting pitching help. But the pitching for the Reds, starting pitcher, I think they had one outing where they gave up it was one of that 20-run explosion or whatever. It was the one bad. Outside of that, they're good for third in baseball since that stretch. Again, it's baseball. You could paint whatever, you could use numbers to paint whatever story you want. But it's like when they're hitting, they're giving up a lot of runs. When they're not giving up any runs, they're not hitting. And it's just, I don't know if it's like a mental thing of baseball. I always go back to, I remember Johnny Cueto with the Reds. I mean, I think it was that second to last year. That would have been 13 maybe. His last year with the Reds, an ERA under 2. I mean, was just killing it. And he also led baseball. He led all of baseball as a starter with the least run production, with the least run support of any starting pitcher in baseball. But the Reds, anytime they averaged, I think it was 2.4 runs per game when he was on the mound. And then when he was not on the mound, the Reds averaged 4 runs a game. And I've always said, is it a mental thing of okay, when the lineup's released, all right, we got Cueto on the mound. We don't have to press as much when we're at the plate. And then when everyone else is up, it's all right, our pitcher's not as great, so we got to be on it. It's not, I don't know if that plays a role in it. I don't know what's going on, but it's when the Reds pitching is on, it's not being complemented by it to where everything was going right. The Reds were at their peak pre-All-Star break because of the fact, and even a little bit after when they went on that 6-game win streak when they swept it with the Diamondbacks. I mean, it was full steam ahead. But nonetheless, I mean, the Guardians, the Reds, similar problems, but they're both losing right now, and that's the similarity between them right now as far as that's concerned.
And the thing about the Guardians, man, the Twins are begging for you to take this division.
Yep.
They're the more talented team. The Twins are more talented, and they keep losing to teams that they're better than. While the Guardians are just, hey, man, we're just going to lose 1-0. We're going to pitch great. We're going to play great in the outfield, but we're not going to score any runs. And it's not on the players because the players aren't talented enough because there are a whole bunch of young guys that probably shouldn't be at the major league level right now. But you had guys that were major leaguers. They weren't playing great, but at least they were still major leaguers. So for me, they're 3.5 back right now. We'll see what happens. Maybe the Twins are really just completely fall off the map and we'll backdoor our way in there, and I'll be super happy and pumped up and talking crazy and talking about, we're going to sneak in there and win the series, and they'll fool me like they always do. But as of right now, I'm very disappointed because we got 3 versus Tampa Bay. That's 2 losses. Then we go down to Cincinnati. So I don't know.
Split at least.
Yeah. And then was it 4 versus Detroit? Okay. It's some wins there. And then we got the Dodgers. So,
Toss up. Is it you at the Dodgers?
No.
All right.
In my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio.
Kenner and Cab 1410 Wing AM. So the drama going on with Northwestern right now.
Yes.
Not condoning anything that's going on in Northwestern. I mean, look, bottom line is Buckeye fans, it's similar, but it's not what happened with Urban Meyer years ago. Just a big scandal that ultimately led to a coach losing his job. Slightly different. Urban retired. Wink, wink. But so I remember when, what was it? I forgot. Oh, so it was about the coaches Urban Meyer not reporting anything or not saying anything about the Zach Smith stuff, correct? I know he was behind the scenes trying to get him and his wife some help and all that stuff. But there was a situation after the suspension, after everything was going down, I forgot what it was. Ohio State was doing a whiteout. And they put out the graphic for the game, a whiteout, and I lied. I'm sorry. They were playing at Penn State. It was the whiteout game at Penn State, correct? And they were going something about like, let's hush the crowd or whatever. And they did the graphic where it was one of the players putting his hand up to his mouth saying hush. And Ohio State got ripped for that because of how tone deaf they were with the messaging of it. Isn't that what your coach got in trouble for? Where he was hush, hush. And I thought it was a stretch. I thought it was ridiculous. I was like, you guys are like, it's okay to be upset with Urban and what's going on and not take every little tiny thing and turning it into something that it's not. But that's what happened. And that's what happens in these situations. Everyone's out for blood right now.
Right.
Northwestern is obviously with the scandal going on that led to Pat Fitzgerald's firing and everything. You know, and the assistant taking over as the interim for the time being, and the players that are left, and the players are still supporting Fitzgerald, frustrated by the firing of Fitzgerald and everything along those lines. Well, take a listen. So ESPN's Adam Rittenberg had this to say regarding a lot of fire coming in the direction of Northwestern for some shirts that they are currently wearing.
Offensive coordinator Mike Bajakian and other staff members today on the practice field had a T-shirt that read "Cats Against the World" and had the number 51 on it. Number 51 worn by Pat Fitzgerald as a two-time National Defensive Player of the Year here at Northwestern. So clearly his former staff members supporting him at a practice that was attended by the media. Interim coach David Braun saying that he's not here to censor anyone. And Bryce Kurtz, one of the players, saying that Braun has told them, this is all about sticking together, and that T-shirt, at least in Kurtz's mind, is a symbol of doing that.
Many people believe that T-shirt is tone deaf. It's kind of a middle finger back to everyone that was a victim throughout all of this type of stuff. Is this something similar? Like I used the example of the hush the crowd graphic that Ohio State put out after the Urban Meyer thing, where they took something that was nothing and turned it into something. Is this taking something or taking nothing and turning it into something, or is this something in your eyes?
This is something, and the Ohio State thing was something for me as well. This is worse because it's basically blatantly saying Pat Fitzgerald had nothing to do with it or didn't know anything about it because of the number. We're having 51 on there. If they would have just had, the simple letters of Northwestern against the world or whatever, no problem with that, because you're galvanizing your guys. You're having your whole team come together as one. Like, hey, man, we're blocking the outside noise, all those type of cliches, you know what I'm saying, to keep the team focused, to keep them motivated and everything like that. I understand, like, the guys that stayed, that didn't hit the transfer portal, they came there because of Pat Fitzgerald. You know what I'm saying? They came to that school because he recruited them there. He believed in them. They believed in the message that he was preaching and everything like that. I understand that. But like, that's something maybe you can keep behind closed doors. But this is basically putting it back into the media's face and saying these things that are being alleged about Coach didn't happen. So I do have a problem with that.
I only don't, because again, is it tone deaf? I guess. And the reason I can't say it's not is because look at the reaction it's getting. It's obviously not tone deaf because of the reaction it's getting. But sometimes, I'm not saying you, but sometimes the fake outrage of stuff that comes about from national media, especially if stuff that really isn't a big deal, but it is a big deal. Like, the thing is too, the component of, okay, some of these players who were probably involved in this feel the guilt of, man, we got our guy fired.
Right.
So there's that loyalty, that, a message to coach, like, maybe we feel bad. This is on, and Kenner, you're speculating. Well, I feel like those who are upset about this are also speculating by saying that this is signifying that they condone what had happened. I don't necessarily think that, but at the same time, so the athletic director basically coming out, and this is the article. So you just heard from Adam Rittenberg. He released this article a little bit ago that the shirts that were inappropriate, offensive, and tone deaf. The athletic director came out and said that this is the first he had no idea that the shirts were being made or printed, and had no idea that the players were wearing them. And of course, that's led to a lot of talk out on the field and how people respond.
Yeah, they don't have a Nike swoosh on them. Yeah. These are homemade, so to speak. These are, printed down the street from this campus or something like that.
Local Titan graphics.
Yeah, at a local type of place. This isn't Nike approved type of merch that they're out there wearing at practice.
Not just do it. Let's just be clear. Like, it's not a little Nike swoosh. This is just haze people. No, like that is not what that was. That's for sure.
I think that the Cats Against the World, perfectly fine. 100%. I think that's something that, you can sell in the bookstore and, have the whole university wearing them because, hey, man, we're going to come together for this football season. We're going to push for it. You adding that 51 on there, that's where you cross the line.
Hold on. What, real quick. How do we know that maybe that's not his number? Ed Orgeron. What was his number? Ed Orgeron number in college. Let's just see what we're working with here. Let's see. It doesn't come up with anything yet. Oh, for whatever reason, I typed in his number and it actually gave his phone number. What the hell?
Whoa.
It's not his actual.
Call him up. Give him a buzz.
Hey, go Wildcats. Wait, what is Northwestern? The Wildcats?
Yes.
Go Wildcats. That's all they need right there to fix it. So you're not a wrestling fan.
Wrestling.
Boxing or wrestling? Which one do you think is harder?
I believe one, I would never get in the ring, in a boxing ring or a wrestling ring. I saw what happened to TJ Smooth. So I'm gonna go with wrestling. I would get into a boxing ring before I would get into a wrestling ring.
So it's funny because Logan Paul, have
you watched the doc?
On Logan? No, on Jake Paul? No, I have not.
Jake, yeah.
No, but either way, he talked about that on the Stephen A. Smith podcast. But I bring this up because Logan Paul was on the Stephen A. Smith podcast, and he was asked, which is more difficult training, is it more difficult training for a wrestling match, a wrestling run, or a boxing match? And what he said stirred a lot of commotion on social media, how disrespectful it is to boxers that he could actually say this. Take a listen. Maybe.
If wrestling's harder than boxing, this is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. If wrestling's harder than boxing.
Really?
It's harder than boxing.
How?
I'll tell you why. If you're a boxer, to me, it's kind of obvious that the toughness is inherent. You got to be a tough, kind of screws loose character to get hit in the face every day and want to try to kill someone in the ring with you every single day in sparring.
Right.
So that kind of comes with the territory. The hard part about boxing is then obviously putting together the chess match in your mind and coming up with that violent strategy to overcome the guy across from you. But it's not a lot of calculations. You go in with the strategy, but you got to be able to adapt on the fly. Like it feels more instinctual to me. With wrestling, when I first started, I couldn't believe how 360 degrees this business was. There are so many things to account for. And the analogy I use is when I'm boxing, I'm worried about one person, the guy across from me.
Right.
When I'm wrestling, I'm worried about 50,000 people watching me in a stadium. And it is my job. I am getting paid to make sure they're having a good time, to make sure they're entertained, to make sure I'm giving it my all, not messing up any of the moves.
So interesting. I listened to that podcast live. Actually, I was listening to that on the way to Detroit to check out WWE SummerSlam at Ford Field, by the way. And 50,000 people. Yeah. And he had that whole place. I mean, Logan Paul, for everyone out there, there's another part in there where he talks about the fact that, I've always said this about, with radio too. I don't need you to like me. I just need you to know who I am. And it's a lot of similar aspects there where he's talking about in wrestling, like getting booed. His wife, his fiance is like, man, does that bother you? No, because of the reaction. What you don't want is to walk out to the ring and there's no reaction and there's no noise.
Who's this guy?
So that's what, he was kind of referring to as far as that's concerned, but he was just talking about in boxing, that stuff doesn't matter. It's a win-loss thing. You make your money based on going out, the result of the match. With wrestling, it's so much more. He goes, you're not paid by your wins. You're paid by the crowd reaction and how they can generate a storyline around you, that type of stuff. But the people who hate wrestling just piled on to how disrespectful it is, bringing up Muhammad Ali and bringing up the legends of boxing's past and all this stuff. And I found it fascinating. Now, the other thing I found interesting is that, for everyone out there that's like, well, he's not even a real boxer, so who cares what, Logan Paul has to say, who did fight in the box. He did fight Floyd Money Mayweather and all that type of stuff. Kind of hung in there with them, but who knows whether there was a real, whatever. But Tyson Fury was asked as well, because he's participated in a wrestling match before. He was asked his thoughts on, is it more difficult training for wrestling or boxing, and which one was more difficult? Here's Tyson Fury, an actual boxer.
I can honestly tell you, if I spar for 10, 12 rounds, I might get hit 5 times. In this, you're getting impacted every day you train. Every time I go to that gym and train for 2 hours, there'll be impact. Getting smashed onto the floor, into the ropes, or into a corner. Yeah, I don't take any impact in boxing, but this, you take impact every day, like power slammed and suplexes and everything you can think of, getting chucked out of the ring, whatever. It's impact. So it's become painful.
Yeah. And that's Tyson Fury. But I brought that up because, again, that people are going to dismiss Logan Paul's opinion on boxing Well, that's Tyson Fury, who's done both as well, and saying the same thing. Look, you don't have to take wrestling serious. That's fine. But I mean, like I said, I was in awe this past weekend at Ford Field. I'd never been to an event that big. I've gone to wrestling when it's here in town or if it's in Cincinnati, Columbus. But to see an event like that with 50 or it was 60,000, it was 59,000 people, Kev, unfreaking believable. And like, that's, I mean, and they do like that stuff for WrestleMania where they do that 2 nights in a row. And it's as people mock it all the time, but it's up there as far as ratings and everything else. There's NFL, college football, and then there's WWE. People laugh at that. Y'all can mock it, but the stuff's there's no preseason football by any means. But it was just insane.
I love his explanation because he's talking about, the entertainment. Like, how many times have you watched the Floyd Money Mayweather fight and not been entertained? He wins the fight, but in boxing, it's to be hit and not be hit. So his goal is never to be hit. How many times have you seen a Mike Tyson fight, especially me growing up as a kid watching Tyson, ordering the $100 pay-per-views, convincing my mom to do it, and the fight is over in the first round because he knocked somebody out with 2 punches. He never got hit. But in wrestling, entertainment wrestling, you're still making physical contact with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's there to see you do a chop one time and he goes down and you pin him. Like, they want to see action. They want to see you bounce around the ring a ton. So yeah, expressing it like that, it makes sense. 100% it makes sense. So yeah, I have no problem with that. I mean, if people actually listen to what he said, then they could understand where it's coming from, because in boxing, they call it the sweet science. Like, hey man, I'm trying to hit you without getting hit. If people watch the fight with Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence 2 weeks ago, Bud Crawford destroyed Errol Spence and something nobody saw coming. Bud Crawford looked like he was ready to go to the club afterwards because he didn't get hit. Errol Spence, on the other hand, looked like he needed plastic surgery. So in wrestling, the object is to make both dudes look like they need plastic surgery. So the physical combat that goes on in entertainment wrestling, call it fake, call it not real or whatever, you try climbing on a rope and jumping off of it and see how you feel. And I'm not the wrestling guy on the show.
Shout out to Ben, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Ben, a professional wrestler that works with us here, and he works in our sales department. But he said, we're going to get in a ring. We're going to get Kenner in a ring. I'm going to start kicking extra point. I'm going to be an athlete, a well-rounded athlete. I don't know how that feels to take, they call it taking a bump. That sounds so bad. I'm like, depending on what part of Dayton I'm from, you might not know what I'm saying, but some are like, oh, I got a guy. I'm like, that's weirdo. I'm wrestling. Oh, okay, weirdo.
Kicking an extra point, getting into the wrestling ring, and March running the 40. It's got to be.
That's why I've been training so hard for all this, nonetheless. But yeah, I was telling you before. So Ford Field, 60,000 people, all that stuff. I pulled right up to my parking spot. Afterwards, left. Everything was fine. I do not understand.
Watch it, man.
I do not understand how the Nutter Center cannot figure out parking. It is just beyond ridiculous. So me and TJ Smooth.
Hey, Smooth Takeover.
We went and got dinner before SmackDown this past Friday. We leave the sports bar at 7:03. The show starts at 8. I said, hey, traffic gets a little rough. Let's leave now. Even if we get there at 7:30, we're there. We got to go get some beers, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, it won't be that bad. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's going to be bad. We got to leave right now. We leave. I looked at the time. 7:03.
He's been gone too long. You must have forgot.
Yeah, he's like his little Dayton. I'm from New York. He's coming from New York, So we leave at 7:03. We didn't park till 8:15. Now, where the sports bar is located, it's right there by the Fairfield Commons Mall. So basically, we're coming from the Fairfield Commons Mall to the Nutter Center. I could walk there in 15 minutes, and it took over an hour and 15 minutes to get from there to a parking spot. I mean, figure it out. That is, this is a local segment, so I'm being as locally real as I can. And that's uncalled for. That is literally uncalled for. We stopped at a light, Kev. It was red. Okay, then it turned green. I'm like, all right, well, green means go, but I can't go. So okay, then it turned red. Getting anxious. Then turned green again. We hadn't moved. I sat through 2 or 3 light cycles at one light. It didn't move. That is insane. Go to Detroit. 60,000 people at an event, and I'm able to leave about a half hour after the event ends. Make it make sense. It doesn't. Figure it out. It doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know. I was about to get out and start waving people through. I was about to get my little whistle, my little vest on, and start waving people through.
Yeah, man. The Nutter Center bottlenecks. I think that's what they call it. Like, it's just like, man, once too many cars get backed up, you just sit there and wait. And it's from every direction. It's from coming from the mall, or if you're coming from Colonel Glenn from either direction, then the back way. Like, everything just comes to a complete standstill. So I don't know what needs to be done. Last time I got caught in big traffic was for the Kevin Hart show back in May. Yeah, it was May. And it was just, at the Nutter Center. And the exact same thing. I was just sitting at light after light after light after light after light.
Anyway,
it was so bad that we were on our way, like, oh, let's leave and go grab something to eat. We couldn't go grab something to eat because if we'd have went to grab something to eat, it would have been even later for the show. So I had to eat nachos for dinner.
Well, when we come back, tickets to a great event at the Nutter Center. We'll be right back. Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM. You do not want to miss it.
Raider up.
So leave. No. That's not. That was not a Wright State segment. That was not bashing anyone at Wright State. But if I need to call one of my contacts at Wright State to get in touch with the right person for the Nutter Center to say, hey, figure it out. Stop getting a big conglomerate of mall cops running traffic, and let's get real cops who know what the hell they're doing. I'm tired of missing shows.
When I was a student at Wright State, whenever there'd be a concert over there, we would just walk because it was much easier.
I said, you know what? I bet none of these cars will move. By the time I get to the show and come back, my car will be right here just fine.
Throw the hazards on.
We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
We're changing the game. Help your bets stay hot this summer at Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now, when you use the promo code ColumbusFan, you score up to $250 with that first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with the promo code ColumbusFan. Download the Superbook Sports app, enter the promo code ColumbusFan. You're going to get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at columbusequipment.com.
This is Keith Byers for Superbook Sports. You spend valuable time thinking about which bets to place each week. So why wouldn't you want the best company in the business to be the one who handles those bets? Superbook Sports is the most trusted name in Las Vegas, and it's now live right here in Ohio for all your sports wagering needs. Superbook has a team of dedicated odds makers behind the counter in Las Vegas setting all the prices. We're talking about guys with decades of experience showing you why Superbook has the best odds around. And right now, you can look ahead to hockey and hoops postseason and place a bet on who you think will take home the title. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966.
Hi, Greg McAfee here with McAfee Heating and Air. Dayton was founded on blue-collar work. Many Daytonians worked at companies like NCR, McCall's Publishing, Delco, and the Huffy Corporation. Blue-collar work set Dayton apart in innovation and forward thinking. And today, we have a company like McAfee Heating and Air. Our apprenticeship program is a perfect opportunity to get paid while you learn. Go to mcair.com and apply today.
A new season is here and an exciting new career is waiting. KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris is now hiring second shift production associates and offers outstanding starting pay at $19.83 per hour. This is an excellent opportunity that offers an attractive benefit package, medical, dental, and 401k. KTH offers the advantage of being a short drive from home, just minutes from Bell Fountain, Troy, Piqua, and Urbana. The position will fill quickly, so please apply now at kth.net. KTH is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Hey Dayton, it's true. Chevrolet of Troy has the absolute lowest prices. We beat anyone's price with thousands off MSRP. Save up to $10,000 off brand new Chevys in stock. We've got the best selection in the region with over 300 vehicles. We always accept employee supplier pricing and make financing a breeze. Remember, customer service is our top priority. We care about you. A full service, state-of-the-art dealership makes Chevrolet of Troy your best choice. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.